And hello everyone, it's Tom, it's FANzine Live, and this is the new releases video. We're going to take a look at a self-published zine, a comic-size zine, full-size, and it's by, I believe it's Michel Fiffe. I think that's how I heard him referred to on Cartoonist Kayfabe back when they had that video series, and is creating Copra. It's the definitive DIY guide to making and self-publishing comics, he says. Copra is a comic series that he has done for a while now, and I am totally unfamiliar with it. But he says it's his take on superhero comics, and what he has done here in a really nice looking book. You can tell when an artist decides to get real with process stuff. He makes it look nice. But anyway, he did this. He says he deconstructed the entire process of making Copra in detail over at his Patreon. So basically what he did was each of these different chapters is content that Fiffe had at his Patreon account. Collected it all, put it into a beautiful published edition, full color, nice matte paper, but not newsprint. And it's really impressive. So he goes through how he came up with the concept for Copra, and of course artwork all the way along, developing basic plot lines, developing characters. He does say the first issue, and now we are talking about a superhero comic, a superhero team comic, so you have to introduce your characters, set up the mission or danger, and then have everyone fight. You've got to have some action in that first issue. Then he talks about writing. Now notice this is 2017. This is 2017. So this was May, this is July. So he talks about how to script. And he even gives some examples with a full page of Copra showing how he's scripting this stuff out. Pretty cool. Goes into layouts and pencils. Step by step, making his comic. Shows how his layouts are just incredibly rough. He does his own inking, and so he decided I'm not going to do detailed pencils because I know what I'm going to draw once I do my rough layouts. And so he goes straight from basically glorified bubbles and panels to final stuff, final inked work. Pretty impressive. He does talk about the size of the artwork. As you can see, he's got trim size and bleed and safety lines and all that. There's a splash page. He does go a little bit more detailed on this one, and he says that he probably took this snapshot to document the hand lettering on the title before inking it. Pretty cool though. And I mean, you can see one of the things I really do like about this is that he uses the same layout roughs and then shows the final picture and how it came out in the book. And the same, I guess, over here, because these are some of those pieces. Fiffe is very well respected. Again, I've never read anything of his outside of this book. But he goes through and gives lots of great examples. He talks about lettering. You can see his lettering. I'm going to come up close. You can see his lettering is a little rough. It is totally hand done. You can see how he starts off his lettering. He shows how he uses his lettering for panels. In this case, boom, which is kind of cool. In this case, pow, pow, pow. Pretty neat. He shows how he goes from the layout page to the fully inked, but then throwing in lettering that he's got in some spots. Another neat little element. Then he goes to inking. And he says it's for the step that he highly enjoys, and that's clear because he doesn't do much in the way of penciling. But he does show how he does his inking. and some of the different styles and approaches he's used on his inking. And then color. And he talked in this about how color was, the simplest way he can boil down his approach to Copra is economy of time. Colored pencils are easily available, and I'm used to them. I can work quicker with them if I were to try and replicate a colored pencil look through digital means, and the same goes for watercolor or paint. Time is precious. I got to move fast. He is single-handedly making this comic every month, and so everything from plot to story to layouts to pencils to inks to letters to colors, everything in 1 month. And he's got to do the publishing. So he's looking to cut time wherever he can. He decided colored pencil is the way to go. So yeah, all this colored stuff you've been seeing throughout the book is actually colored pencil, and it is gorgeous. Look at this sunset. I mean, it's incredible. He does say he uses Photoshop to fill in, tweak, or touch up certain details, but basically it's colored pencils. And he does a process review, and so he's talking about how he does his script. Look at that script. I guess when you're writing for yourself, you can do however you wish. Layouts and lettering, rough pencils, inks, color. And notice he's doing this with the exact same page all along. Very similar to how I showed you the process stuff in Patriot Commentary Edition. I showed the script page, the layout page by Tony Lawrence, the finished pencils, the inks, the lettering, and finish page. And then I did another one. So it's kind of neat to see how he does it and how the single page evolves. Look at that, cross-hatching with the colored pencils. Nifty. And then he finally gets to the self-publishing part. And it's got 5 sections: proofreading and file prep, printer selection, subscriptions and retailer, shipping, and then the general management. And he goes through the process of making the book and getting it out into people's hands. And I mean, this guy mailed out his own stuff. That Copra, as I understand, is a self-published comic. And then he decided, I believe he ran some of it through, I think it was through Image. He ran some of it through a collected edition. Bergen Publishing did this Copra compendium. And then they had these giant size issues as well. So he had these bigger collections of Copra editions. So he decided to get away from that and went back to self-publishing, talking a little more about it all. He did work with Image. So he talked a little bit about the positives and negatives of working at Copra versus working with Image. And then he wraps up with, of course, an ad for his work and some information about his work. So he's got stuff about his books that he does on his self-published side, and then, of course, an ad for his Image Comics stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's a $20 zine. Not cheap, but plenty of tools of the trade. The only real hang-up I have about this is that he had to call it the definitive DIY guide to making and self-publishing comics. And I would suggest that this is the definitive DIY guide for those who want to recreate Michel Fife's Copra or going in his style. Making and self-publishing comics can be a number of things. I made, with help from Larry Johnson and Tony Lorenz, I made Patriot. I did not follow this approach. I came close. There were many areas where we intersected, but I did not follow his approach. Is it definitive? No. Is it good? Oh, heck yes. And I think for that reason alone, I'm going to recommend it to everybody and just take the definitive part with a grain of salt. So there it is, Michel Fife's Creating Copra. A nice looking book. That's all colored pencils. All right, everybody. FANzine Live, new releases. Go out and get it. I'll have the information in the show notes. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.